I'm going to be blunt. Sophia is still in critical condition in the intensive care unit. There's a chance that she's maybe the third fatality of this event. But the door's been opened a little bit, and there's some rays of hope shining through. She was shot in the left temporal lobe, and the bullet remains lodged in her right occipital lobe. We brought her into the operating room and performed what's called a decompressive craniectomy, which is basically removing the left half of her skull to give her brain room to swell. Unfortunately, the bullet path injured some critical vessels in what's called the Sylvian fissure, which carries branches of what's called the middle cerebral artery, which is a very important blood vessel. We did our best to spare as much of that blood vessel as possible and then stop the bleeding. And then we inserted a pressure monitor and got her off to our wonderful pediatric intensive care unit. We've kept her very heavily sedated in a medical induced coma to some degree to help keep the pressures in her brain down. Those pressures have remained in a relatively good range that we've now started to allow her to wake up a little bit more. And as I mentioned, there are a few rays of hope. She's very purposeful on her left side of her body. She's got some slight movement in her right leg, and she's opening her eyes. I know she's had a stroke from that injury to that blood vessel, and I don't know what her permanent deficits are going to be, but we're a little bit more optimistic that she's going to survive. When I first saw her, I was told she was 16, and that she's 12 is even better in terms of the potential for neurologic recovery. The younger patients tend to have a better chance of recovery. Their brain has a little bit more what we call plasticity, where other areas could potentially make up for things. I'm optimistic about the leg function returning. She'll probably get some improvement in her right arm. But there are a lot of other things that could still be wrong. This bullet could affect the language centers, her ability to speak and understand speech. But we're banking on that plasticity of the brain in a 12-year-old that it's going to improve. I just don't know where this is going to end, though.
In this horrific act of violence, my daughter, my precious angel, my kuklamu Sophia, suffered a gunshot wound to the head. Sophia is kind. She is brilliant. She is full of life. She is an innocent child who was attacked while in prayer. Words cannot begin to describe the terror and heartbreak that come with learning such devastating details. These past 10 days have been the longest and hardest of our lives. I stand before you today on behalf of my family to thank every person who helped get Sophia from the pew where she lay wounded into all the way to Dr. Galicich's operating room. The speed and coordination it took to make that happen is nothing short of extraordinary.